Well, before we get to how they're doing it, we got to say who is doing it. So a little recap on the fact of other things that you've heard here is that there is an occult history of America. And these are the individuals who have always used symbolism coming out of the ancient world, as Jordan and others have shown. The man on the left is Adam Weishaupt, who was the head of the Illuminati, whose origin date was May 1st, 1776, quite close to July 4th, 1776, the founding of America. His mantle passed to Giuseppe Mazzini, who then, when he passed away, the mantle of the Illuminati passed to the man on the right, who's called Albert Pike. Everyone in this room should be familiar with who this man is and what he is about, because he brought what is called Scottish Rite Freemasonry system to this country.
I can't remember where I heard Giuseppe Mazzini spew out of somebody popular's mouth, but I heard it not that long ago. Somebody popular, was said to, Mazzini, like he was saying it kind of like the way rappers, always throw out names or part names that we don't know. I just wish I could remember who it was.
Scottish Rite Freemasonry. And the symbols on the dollar bill are the hallmarks of this order, this secret society that George Washington and other of your founding fathers were warning about. If you go to their memoirs and read it, they were Freemasons. But Freemasonry was a positive, basically philanthropic society at that time, and was infused by these negative elements from Bavaria.
And you see, that's what I'm trying to figure out, why, you have Native Americans wearing fezzes, and I know fezzes is a Shriner, but you have to become a Mason to be able to rise to through the degrees to be a Shriner, and then I wonder why all these Shriners have like all those Islamic kind of symbols, or symbols that we would today confuse them for Islam.
Area and from the old world of Europe, and they warned against it. In fact, the Duke of Brunswick, the head of Grand World Freemasonry, had stood up in the 17th century and asked for the disbanding of World Freemasonry completely, because he was aware that it had been infused with negative elements of Illuminist philosophy. And George Washington and others in this country did likewise. Unfortunately, nothing happened. And the Illuminati were able to infiltrate this societies of Freemasons, and they're still operating today. And this has a bearing on what we'll be talking about. Here is a proof, of course, just for anyone who doesn't know, that the founding fathers definitely were involved in Freemasonry. You'll notice that on the Washington bust there, it says Freemason and First President. Now let's read that again. Freemason and First President. Not the other way around. Thank you. Important detail. To go into Masonry, end the story, can't do it, haven't got the time. But the point is, just the word alone, just my innocent fascination with words and terms that these individuals use. M-A-S-O-N. If you actually draw a hexagram on the pyramid, you will find that that actually inscribes. It's been in front of you for many generations, but you don't notice it. Remember Edgar Allan Poe? You want to hide something, you put it in plain view. Jordan Maxwell talked about the scorpion sting, the double scorpionic sting, remember, of the tail? Remember that? Look at the prongs of the banner there and ask yourself something about symbolism. These people have never hidden who they are, so we're not talking like Ken Thomas was saying, forget a conspiracy theory, it's all conspiracy, no theory. Here you have it, at the G8 summit, peak summit. You have all these fine fellows sitting around a round table, which is of course coming from the Celtic mythologies of Arthurian legends, with a pyramid in the middle. Here's Mitterrand of France, Bill Clinton of America, Blair, a bunch of other criminals, I'm not aware of who they are. And here's Larry, Moe, and Curly. You think they're all from different parties? Think again, simple dialectics. They're all in the same gang. I'm preaching to the choir here, so we'll not spend too much time on that. But you see, what we have to understand is that the girl next door gets involved too, or what they put before you as the girl next door, are people who often have, as Arizona Wilder will only be too happy to tell you, long associations with fraternities and secret orders.
See that? They're all doing that because they're Texas Longhorns fans and rock and roll fans. You got to Texas Longhorn rock and roll combined. That's why they do that. I literally got into an argument with somebody that told me that that's what that's all about. There's nothing to it. It's all Texas Longhorn fans and Rock fans.
Again, the pervasiveness of occultism right in the face of people if they only know where to look.
Washington.
The tarot cards. Nothing negative about tarot cards, nothing negative about the occult. But they're using it. In the cards, in the tarot deck, the major arcana, card number 4 is what we call the Emperor. It shows a king sitting in a marble throne with a stern countenance. Now, wait a minute. If you go to Washington, D.C. and look at the Lincoln Memorial, what do you see there? Most statues of presidents are standing, aren't they? Or they're a bust.
Ram's
Isn't there something
heads.
peculiar about that symbol? Where do you think they got it? It came from the tarot. It has occult origins. The very symbol of the Lincoln Memorial of the great president sitting in the chair with that type of countenance has an origin in the occult.
And look at the ram's heads. You know, it makes me think about Ares, right? The god of war. Or what's his name? What's his name to the Romans? It was Chris. Was it Christos? I can't think of his name in the Romans though. The god of war, the son of Ares. There.
One of the symbols that should be well known, pretty generically known, is the famous handshake of the craft members. And in corporate logos, you'll see this constantly. I can only share with you a very small amount of the work that I've been doing since I was 13, but I'm sure that the point will be made that when you look at these ad copy again or billboards, you'll start to see these associations and understand more what they are. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how that one got in.
And that's another thing. You can spend all day looking into this. They show that their handshakes are done on purposely in different ways. Like there's one where they like to put their thumb across the knuckles here, you know, or right below the knuckles, and then they have the lion's grip and all these other ones. You know, it's weird.
Anyway, the Masons refer to their own procedures, their own teachings as the craft. If you get into studying the, Jordan Maxwell has labored for years to discover the occult roots of government, big business.
And you know, the weird part is when you know that stuff, then when you're listening to some of your shows, like I was listening to, you know, First Take, and I hear Stephen A. Smith sitting up there talking about, oh, I perfected my craft. It's like, you didn't think we knew.
You know, and religion. Big business. Yes, even the big businesses. They're not the rags to riches tales that have been put in front of you where individuals make their money on the white market. The white market makes up a very small amount of the money that's in the world. Let's start studying the black market, not as has been put before you, a bunch of drug-dealing gangsters on the side of the streets. That's not the black market I'm talking about. It's the occult underworld, where the main trading and wheeling and dealing of the world is done, where you can get anything for any price. Well, when we look into that, we'll find that there is, again, occult origins, and behind these big businesses, the franchises, the corporations, hopefully we can prove a little bit today that there is an occult origin. You've seen the pyramid, and a pyramid basically has 3 sides, because the number 3 is very important in Freemasonry.
Now, he said basically, but when you start to look into it, actually is more than 3, but that's the 3 that they really, you know, expect you to know about.
Very important. In fact, if we look at it, we find that the number 3 is sacred, and it is the reason why it has been incorporated into so many areas of religious and secular life. We have the economic world with its first, second, and third worlds. We didn't create that, but yet there's the terms. We have the main political parties. We have social classes calling us upper, middle, and lower. Well, I didn't think of myself as anything like that, but here we are. We have these terms made for us by social.
First World War, Second World War, Third World War, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. You get it? 3 branches of the military they like to really popularize.
Critics, sociologists. We have the competence levels in sports. We've got the levels of matriculation.
But you have Pop Warner, right? And then you have what's it called there? The D League, and then you have the AAA, or you have the professionals.
We've got the branches of government, the legislature, the armed forces even, and the courts. 3 divisions, always 3 is a very important number to look out for. In your Senate, there's 3 tiers high.
See, 1, 2, 3, and that's the proper way the United States flag was meant to be flown. It's not supposed to be flown the opposite to the side like we keep seeing it. It was actually meant to be flown like this. That's the actual way the flag was designed to be, you know. So I just thought that was something to point out.
The emphasis on the number 3. The word threshold The Masons talk about the entrance to all temples, cathedrals, and churches being called the threshold. That means thrice hold. One of their gods is called the thrice great Hermes.
Thrice great Hermes is what? Mercury's. And Mercury's is Flash. Lex Will brought that up to us a long time ago, where thrice Hermes is Mercury's, and Mercury's is Flash.
It's an old story. It goes back to the Druids and ancient civilizations, where they also divided their priestarchies into 3 distinct groups. That's why on the flags of the world you'll find the tripartite.
Now look at this. Remember that on the flags of the world, the 3 stripes. This is going to let you know who owns them. Wherever you see flags like this with the 3 stripes, you immediately will never look at them the same anymore.
Color. So many flags of the world have the tri-part, telling you who owns them, who's running. And again, in our modern ambiance, you find symbols of societies and orders using the double triangle, the 33, and the symbol of the serpent, which, if anyone's familiar with my work on Atlantis, the serpent comes in very strongly there. Okay, the double triangle of the 33rd. Again, they're not even hiding things here. ABC Towers, by the way, in Los Angeles is 2 triangles, 2 large triangles. And symbols in America. Right, let's take it to the context now, coming more to the particular in your own country. The symbol of the eagle has been explored, and how the eagle then turns up on lots of corporate logos. It actually has to do with the fact that the eagle is the old symbol for Scorpio. Long before Scorpio got a scorpion as its symbol, the symbol was the eagle. Aquila, it's called. And if you look at an old planisphere, you'll see it. It's a gigantic constellation in the sign of Scorpio. And that is why the Romans used the symbol of the eagle. That is why the Vatican used it. That is why the Nazis ended up using it. And that's why it's in America. Because the same gang are running the show, and they use the same symbols. It is not got to do with the fact that it's the bald eagle, the indigenous symbol of...
Did you hear that? Now, as a Hebrew Israelite, as the seed of Shem, what does that mean to you to know that now?
Whatever, no. It has to do with the fact of the sign of Scorpio, which any competent astrologer will tell you rules power and money. The sign of Scorpio. Again, a very elaborate study in itself. We don't have time to go into it. We're looking for corporate logos. We're looking for geometry. You don't have to look very far. And the connection to the occult. The pentagon, and that shape is suggestive of many things, actually was designed by a high priest in the Ordo Templi Orientis. That's a secret society from Germany, and who was a very close friend of L. Ron Hubbard. There's a big connection between John Whiteside Parsons, who was an advisor to the military, who was also involved in a very high-level secret society called the OTO. Another great book by David Oveson, The Secret Architecture of Our Nation's Capital, proves that symbolism was used in even the design of the cities of America, including Washington, D.C. He says that there are 22 zodiacs secreted into the architecture of Washington.
Hear that? 22 zodiacs, and they try to tell you there's like, what, 12 or 14 zodiacs? So right there, we have even left out of knowledge 22 zodiacs when they only want to tell us about 12 or 14 zodiacs. I think it's 14.
DC, 22, and hundreds of other astrological symbols. But 22 zodiacs secreted into the architecture of Washington, D.C.?
Like, when you go to Washington and you just walk around, there's no way you can sit there and say it was built off of the Bible or God and all that other stuff that they tell you. There's no way. You would never get that confused. You almost feel like you're looking at Rome/Egypt combined.
That's there's only 4 in London. If you go around London, there's 4, but there's 22 in your own capital city. The whole thing being based on geometry and symbolism. When you wanted to write the word Sirius in Egyptian, you did it with the hieroglyphic that's on the bottom right.
And this is why I don't like to talk about the name God. You know, I know it's a universal title, but I don't like to use it because it takes you back to what I said. What God is dog spelled backwards, play on words, which leads you back to to the dog star Sirius, and the worship of the dog star Sirius. And when we say God, 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 I feel like we're just talking about Sirius. We're talking about all of that has to do with Sirius.
It was an obelisk, a star, and an oval. Okay? That was how you drew the name Sirius in Egyptian. What do you have in Washington, D.C. in stone is exactly that. The Oval Office, the Pentagon, and the obelisk. Why would they want to do that? What on earth has Sirius and star systems far away got to do with Washington and America's destiny?